Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK,
And I'm Courtney.
and Courtney, how are you?
Well, I still have bronchitis, so
Did
not great. Everyone who's asked me today, I'm like, I'm miserable, but I'm alive. And they're
Yep.
like, oh, I'm like, that's me. That's who I am now. Um, but let me tell you, on top of this bronchitis mess, the audacity that Grubhub had today.
Oh no.
I texted you and I said, I didn't eat today. What do I eat? And you said mashed potatoes. I said,
Correct.
great, mashed potatoes. Perfect. So I've been on this kick of eating the KFC mashed potato bowl lately. It's the only
Mm.
thing that's bringing me joy in life.
I mean, valid.
Yeah, I've been eating it like once a week, which I understand is too much, but it's where I am in life right
Is it
now.
though?
I feel like it is. I gotta branch out. I
I
gotta
mean,
do
if
something.
there's 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, that's 21 meals. You're only eating 121th,
Yeah, but there's so
121st.
many other options. Like, what
I'm sorry, I said 121th like that was a word.
it totally is. And I just let it go. I heard it. I registered it. I was like, that's not right. Oh, well. But I live in the city and I just have so many. I try to eat different things. I try
Yeah.
not to eat the same thing over and over, but here we are. And so I was like, great. Ordering mashed potato bowl, no question. Can't wait. I order it. 20 minutes later, it's canceled. The store's closed. Fine. I'll look at another location. Again, I'm in New York City. There's probably 75 other locations.
Right.
Find another location. I order. It's gonna be like 45 minutes. And I was like, I'm starving, but fine. That's what I want. It's what I want. I've already waited half an
Yeah.
hour to not be here. I'll do it again. Finally gets here at like 6:20. So I'm like, plenty of time to eat before the podcast. All this stuff is going. I go outside. It is not my order. It is a box of chicken on the bone,
Ew.
which I do not enjoy.
No.
Although I do think it came with a Pepsi, which is what I ordered. So now I have two Pepsis, which is
Yeah.
good because I need to drink more liquids. But so I just stared at it and I was like, I don't know what to do. So I messaged, and it didn't say it was delivered yet, even though it clearly was delivered. So I
Yeah.
messaged my guy and I was like, hey, this isn't my order. Radio silence. Did mark as delivered. Never responded. I waited like 10 minutes. And I messaged the Grubhub app people who are usually
Yeah.
very helpful. Had a lot of errors lately.
Yeah.
And so I messaged them and I was like, hey, this isn't my order. It said it's not delivered. It's clearly delivered and it's not what I ordered. What do you want me to do about it? I was
Yeah.
like, it's not like responding to me or whatever. And they were like, we refunded it. I was like, okay, but if I still want my food, I need to order it. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, do you need me to do anything with this order I have? Like, do you want me to tell you what it is? So you can figure out who's
Right.
like, there's no receipt on it. Nothing that
No.
tells me this. And they were like, and they just completely ignored that. And then I was like, okay, well, I used a coupon because I had $10 off when they messed up my order Saturday. And I was
Yeah.
like, so could I just like have that back? I just want to order the exact same thing at the exact same price. And
Yeah.
they're like, we can give you $5. I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, right, but I didn't use the coupon and I just want to get the food for the same price that I ordered that I didn't get. And they're
Yeah.
like, well, we can make it $7. Like he didn't give any explanation. He's just like, well, we can make it $7. And I was like,
No.
right, but I didn't use the coupon I had because everything got canceled. He was like, you
Yeah.
can only apply it once. I was like, right.
Right, but I didn't apply it because that order didn't happen.
Yeah. So then he's like, I'll send you $10. And I was like, you have not said anything to me that was helpful. But I did get my $10. So I did get my food for the same price that I got it for before with no issue. And now I haven't eaten it because I can't eat. But I have it. So theoretically I'll have some potatoes today. Um, but I am just distraught with Grubhub. And they're usually so good at their customer service. Like I love them usually. But today I wanted to throw my phone out a window.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do.
It wasn't. If I wouldn't have been sick, I probably would have been more aggressive.
Yeah.
I was like, just give me my money so I can pay my money and order the food I want. Anyways, That's my fall
No,
story.
that is awful.
How are you?
I'm almost as bad. I did get a potato.
Oh, see.
Dan was making dinner and he was like, he was like, what do you want for dinner? And he said, oh, no, he first goes, you didn't eat anything today. I said, correct. I don't, partially because I'd already told him about how terrible my day was, and partially because it's pretty much a given that I didn't eat anything all day. And he was like, I have an idea. I can cook some biscuits and some chicken fingers, and then we can just like make little mini sandwiches. And I was like, great, sounds good. I don't have to think and I don't have to cook. Fine. So he's making the biscuits, he's making the chicken. I'm taking notes for Stargate, and then he just goes, do you want a potato? I said,
Yes.
yes. But he didn't ask me like in a normal voice. He asked me if I wanted a potato in like the same voice as the girl who goes, I'm a potato.
Good
Um, so obviously I then ate a whole potato because yeah,
choice.
yeah. So that might have been the only good thing that happened to me today. All of the other teachers at school were like, "Oh, it's so great. It's a Monday and you didn't have to teach anything." I go, "No, no, no, no. I don't think you understand how stressful it is being here and not accomplishing anything.
Anything, right?
Especially if it's not planned. Like if I'm like, oh, I know the kids have these X, Y, and Z activities. I don't have to lesson plan. I know that the day is going to be a shit show. Fine.
Yeah.
I did not know that today was going to be a shit show. And then of the 9 blocks of the day, I taught for one of them. It was not a good day. Because not only did I only teach for 1 block, I didn't even watch Stargate on my free time.
No, that's insane.
Correct. So, because I didn't have any free time to watch Stargate.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it's been a day. I don't like it.
Me either. I'm over it.
Um, I think that what this really calls for is a dose of some spiritual inspiration to maybe get ourselves together because we're
Oh,
clearly struggling today.
I've got you. Don't fret. I see you on the days you move mountains. I see you on the days you don't get out of bed. Whichever day it is today, you are beautiful, strong, and brave. I just wanted you to know. Stephanie Bennett Henry.
That's beautiful. I don't think either of us are moving mountains today.
We are not. We are not. It feels like moving mountains. The entire day feels like all I've done is push mountains that aren't moving. But
Yeah. But you know who did accomplish what they wanted to do?
Jack.
The SG-1 team, yeah. It was good. Good time. Good times. We're talking today about Stargate SG-1, Season 5, Episode 2, Threshold, which I'm really glad I know that that's the name of this episode because I didn't write the name down.
I did write it down. I could have told you.
Yeah, no, I just wrote SG-1 S5 E2, July 6, 2001. No name. I don't know what the fuck I was doing. Um, I do know this episode though, so I knew which episode it was gonna be. Yeah. So it did come out on July 6, 2001. It was rated 7.5 stars, which I suppose is fair. I like this episode a lot, but I do, I guess, get why it's not very highly rated.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have rated it a bit higher, which I know is not the norm
Yeah.
for my ratings. But all in all, if you break it down, it probably was a little less.
Yeah, that's the thing is like I really love this episode, but like from an analyzing point, it really isn't. Like, so if you guys watched last week and you saw me flipping vigorously through my notebook, I had 6 pages of notes on the last episode. I have that's it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, much
um
shorter.
The number one book on this day was Seven Up by Janet Ivanovich, which is the seventh book in the Stephanie Plum series. So we've already talked about that. The number one song was You Remind Me by Usher.
Oh, love.
And the number one movie was Scary Movie 2.
Yes, all good things. I
All
love
good
all of them.
things. On this day, President Bush celebrated his 55, the birth.
You are
I
really good at numbers today. There is nothing you are better at than numbers today.
his 55th birthday while in office, so it was a big deal. It was the president's birthday in office. And also unrelated, a tornado struck Myrtle Beach, and there were no deaths. There were quite a few injuries, but no deaths. But the winds were up to 150 miles per hour, and apparently, like Myrtle Beach, I mean, Myrtle Beach doesn't get tornadoes. Like that's
I want you to know that
not.
I did not hear Myrtle Beach the first time when you started talking. I heard Mirla Beach, and I was like, I don't know what that means, but
Oh
I'll just
no,
hang
no,
out until I figure it out.
Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach, I'm familiar with, yes.
Yes. So 150 mile per hour winds were kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Um, I don't remember this happening.
I also don't, but it was 2001, so I was 9. Not
Yeah,
even, I
but
was,
if maybe I wasn't. So
oh, you have family there.
in the summers I lived in North Carolina.
Right.
So like I'm like, but I was there, but it was too close to the 4th of July. We stayed here till after the 4th of July and then went
Mm.
down. Just kidding. I know where I was. In 2001, I was in Baton Rouge for my pageant. July 4th, 2001, that's when I was in Baton Rouge competing in a national pageant. So I wasn't paying attention to tornadoes because I was too busy being a
Page
pageant,
yourself. Yeah.
being a baby pageant girl.
Look at
Um,
you.
so yeah, so that was that day in 2001. I am just putting together that all of this happened in the same summer that I was in Louisiana, and I'm very confused by how old I am.
That's okay. It's okay. I don't know what to
Um,
do. People keep asking me, and I keep not knowing.
yeah. This episode was directed by Peter DeLuise, written by Brad Wright, and edited by Rick Martin. So,
Great.
everybody,
Dream team.
yeah. The guest star, who played Voller was David Lovegren. He's known for Roller Coaster, Antitrust, and Stargate. And once again, there is no information
Great.
available online about this person.
Excellent.
So, yeah, that's where we're at.
Love that.
I do just want to point out that you, in our season 4 wrap up, said that the two things that you expected to happen in season 5 were that the replicators would come back and that Braytac would come back. And so far, that's exactly how the season is going.
I wrote that down. I was like,
Um,
I am a genius, in case
so,
everyone didn't already know.
so we start with another flashlight. Flashback. I have said the wrong words so many times, and we haven't even started the episode.
We haven't even started yet. It's okay.
Um,
My bronchitis has me just like non-reactive to it. I'm just like, yep, starting the flashlight. Let's do it. And then
Good luck to everyone listening to this episode. Holy shit. Okay, so we start with another flashback that just shows the progression of Teal losing his way.
right.
But then we start the real meat of the episode with Teal is in like a holding cell and Jack goes to talk to him And Teal'c apologizes to Jack for pledging his allegiance to Apophis and says that Dr. Mackenzie convinced him he was mistaken and that he's ready to like come back and work with SG-1 and he's sorry. Um, and Jack and Hammond are like, okay, like
Yeah, I was
that's
like,
good.
wow, that was super fast.
Yeah, Jack's a little doubtful at the speed at which it happened, but like being much more optimistic than Jack ever really is because it's Teal'c, and so he's like, yeah, of course, like for sure, that worked. So they go out into the hallway and they let him out of the cell, and then we meet up with Braytak in the hallway, and Braytak shakes his hand and then goes, you know, he's lying to you. Like, just so you know, he's not a good
Immediately.
thing. Immediately looked at him and was like, he's a liar. So Teal'c tries to make a run for it, um, and he's running around trying to escape. And then Raytak shoots him with a Zat gun and yanks his symbiote out of his stomach. Now, at this moment, Dan was washing dishes, so he was only listening to it, and he was like, "What is?" And granted, he did not watch the last two episodes with me, so he was unaware that Teal'c's allegiance had changed, and then wasn't visually watching what was happening, and he was like shouting out of the kitchen, very distressed.
Poor
He was like,
dude.
"Did they just shoot Braytak?" I was like, "No, no, no, Braytak shot Teal'c," and he was like, "Why?" It's like, sorry. You
Poor
gotta catch up.
dude.
You gotta stay. We're
Gotta
we're
hang
we're,
there.
we're record no, but we're recording too many out of order, so he hasn't caught up because he doesn't watch the shows with me all the time. But then he listens to the podcast, so he still knows
Ah,
where we are in the show.
I
But
see.
because we've recorded out of like ahead of time, he's not caught up.
Cool.
I'm
He's like
sorry.
3 episodes behind. Bless you.
Yeah. Um, and Braytak is like, the only way to save him is to like send him to the edge of death because like we're basically gonna perform last rites on him and like allow his like entire experience of life to flash before his eyes so that like can like clear his mind. Um, no one's like super thrilled about this, but they're like, oh, but like you've done this before, and he's like, yes, I've done it. In my entire 137 years, I have done it two times,
2 times.
and both times they died.
So great track record.
Super, super. He's batting 100 in the wrong direction.
In the wrong direction. Yep.
So that's great. Um, and but somehow this plan gets approved anyway.
I
Because
mean,
I,
what's their other option?
right, honestly, there is not
Literally.
really a lot of other choices. They go to the infirmary to see Teal'c, and Janet is not thrilled about this plan.
No. Well, she's made an oath to protect people, and now they're going to send him to the brink of death. So,
Yeah, Janet might be the only TV doctor I've ever experienced who takes her like oath to care for people so fucking seriously.
yeah.
Like
Because
if you
everyone else
watch,
is just like, they
if
just
you,
willy-nilly. Like, you never
yeah,
know.
like you watch shows like Grey's Anatomy or House or like these, all these, or like even like Scrubs and ER, and they're like, they obviously care about people and they want to save people, but they don't like they're like we're just doing the best we can, like we don't have all the answers, and Janet is like, no, I will save him, I do
Yeah.
not let people die, and he was like,
Mhm.
okay. um Braytak is like, please just stay, you can't do anything, you can't put it back, we already have approval to do this, but like the more people that are here helping us through this the better. So uh, sorry, Braytak is like talking to Teal and like telling him that he has to like come back, and Teal'c is just like, no, Apophis is gonna come back for me.
Give it up
And
to him.
then I at the next part I laughed so hard I had to pause the TV because I was like laughing so hard I cried because Jack was like, I am 100% sure Apophis is dead. And then Daniel just gives him a look like maybe we've said that before. And then Jack is like, I am 99% sure that Apophis is dead.
Yes.
Um, which is so funny because then Dan did the same thing to me at the end of the episode. I was like, it's okay though, Apophis really is dead. And he goes, but is he? I said, yes. And he goes, but that's what you said the last time. I was like, no, but this time I mean it. He goes, and that's what they said the last time.
That is fair.
So he's like, never I never wanted to work for you. I was always waiting for Apophis. He's gonna come back. He is not dead. You can't convince me that he is. And Braytac like yells at him and is like, we used to do this together. Like, remember when we worked together and I was Apophysis first prime. And then we go into the first of our flashbacks. Um,
Our first flashlight,
yes. This episode is like a clip show, but not
but not. Yeah.
because it's not for the most part not clips that we've seen before. So like it's an interesting feeling because it has that same feeling of the clip show, but it's all new information. Um, So we go and we see the first time that Teal'c met Apophis. He was working under Braytac. Braytac was Apophis's first prime, and we see him meeting Apophis, and Apophis like talks to him about his father, and he tells Apophis like my father was the first prime of Cronus, and he was killed, and Apophis is like that's because he was not. He was a coward. He wasn't a good first prime, and Teal'c like argues with Apophis, and Apophis fucking is not having that and he punishes him. He like I was gonna say beats the shit out of him, but it's all the go old hand
Right.
thing. Um and in his memory, Teal'c screams, so then real life Teal'c screams in pain, and we're back to the present, and Janet is like freaking out. She's like, can we at least like give him medicine to like to like ease the pain? And Braytec's like, no. The whole point is for him to feel the pain. Like if he got to where he is in life by experiencing pain, and if he doesn't re-experience it, he'll never remember the truth. Like sometimes the truth is painful and you have to feel pain.
Right.
But Braytech is like, all right, we've got everything set up. He's on the right path. He's doing what he needs to do, but I'm not going to be strong enough to go through this whole thing with him if I don't take a break. I need to go to Kelmarine. It was a very long journey for me to even get here in the first place. Like, I want to help you, but you got to give me a minute. So I need you all to just keep talking to him until I can get back. Like, keep talking to him, make him question his beliefs, have conversations with him. Don't, like, let him, like, fester in this feeling.
Yeah.
So they go to take Braytac into his room, and while Sam is escorting him to his room, she like tells him that this is really hard for all of them to like watch Teal'c in pain. And Braytec's like, humans are so fixated on pain. This scene and these things that he was saying, I like it was amazing. It was everything I needed to hear, like in life. He was like, humans are so fixated on pain. And like you want people to be alive for the sake of being alive. Like you want to save Teal'c, but if Teal'c isn't Teal'c, if Teal'c is brainwashed, if he's this goon of Apophis, what's the point of him being alive? Like it's not, and he admits that he is going to be dying. Like he's like, I'm 137. My symbiote is going to mature in like 2 years, and I'm too old to take a new symbiote, even if I could find one.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, and that's okay. Like I've lived a very long life. That's what happens. I will die and it will be okay. Like,
Yeah.
and he's like, so you have to remember that life has to mean something or it's not worth living. And either Teal'c is gonna come back to us as himself, or he's not gonna come back at all. Those are our only two options right now.
Yes. Which are really the only two options.
Yeah. Um, Back in the other room, they decide to like take turns talking to Teal'c to try to like help him, and Daniel is gonna go first, but then he's so fucking awkward, it's painful, and so Jack is like, never mind, I've got this. Um, and he starts like talking to Teal'c, and he's like, what I don't really understand is that if somehow you were still working for Apophis this whole time, you never gave up hope when we were on Chulak and you rescued us and then like started this whole thing, either you're lying or you're working as a double agent, but you're the world's worst double agent in the history of ever because nothing about this makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so then Teal'c just says the word Valar. And we get the next flashback. And Teal'c remembers talking to Valar, who was a friend of his, who was another Jaffa. And Teal'c was telling him, he was like, I don't really understand, like, Apophis, like, punished me, and I don't understand what kind of God would punish someone that for loving their father and, like, being loyal to their father. And Valar's like, our God. So, like, you better cut it out. That's not how this is going to work. So we see that even after having only met Apophis once, Teal'c is not really
That's
feeling this
super on
thing.
board. Yeah.
Right. Um, and then we get a really stupid scene where Jack and Daniel are fighting over whether Teal'c said Valar or Valur.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, guys.
Um, and Teal'c like tries to get Jack and Daniel to release him, and he's like pretending that he apologizes again, but he can't even handle pretending, and he like still is calling Apophis a god, and he like freaks the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and his next memory is of training with Braytak, and they're fighting, and Braytak has a blindfold on him, and he's making him fight him blind, and he's talking about how, and then he says he's gonna kill Teal'c, and Teal'c's like, it's fine, Apophis will save me, and Braytak's like,
Mm,
are you sure about that? And he's like, he's a god, he knows everything, and he's like, blind faith is not gonna get you anywhere. Like you can't rely on that. Um, so um then we go back to real life and Daniel is still questioning Teal'c and he's like saying that everything Jack says is true and it doesn't really make sense and Teal'c's continuing to argue with him and then he just like yells, don't what does he say? Don't test me, woman, or something.
oh,
And
yeah, like that.
Daniel's like, the fuck? He just called me woman. But it's because he's back in Memoryland and he is talking to Dreyak, his wife, who sometimes we pretend doesn't exist on the show.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, and how he like Braytek is his master and he wants to honor Braytek, but he also thinks that Braytek is not loyal to Apophis and he doesn't know if he should do it. And Dreyak, who we all know is shady as shit, is like, you have to tell Apophis.
Yeah.
And Teal'c's like, I really can't fucking do that. She's like, cool, then just come have sex with me. Okay.
She's too
That's
much.
that's one way to handle it.
Yeah.
Then we're back in the real world, and Sam is going in, comes back in, and she checks on Janet. And Janet's like, Junior's fine. I don't really know what the fuck we're gonna do with him if Teal'c dies, but that won't be my problem because I will have quit.
Yeah.
She's not having a good time. And they the rest of the team talks and they decide that the only way any of them are gonna make it is if they sit in shifts and they're gonna take turns staying with Teal'c. And Sam goes first. And Teal'c like tries to talk Sam into like caving. And he's like And she's like not buying it. And then he's like, "Do you believe in God?" And she's like, "That is really not even the question right now." Because this is my
It's
favorite
not
thing,
relevant.
not relevant, but also my favorite thing about the show is that Sam is clearly a Christian, but
Mhm.
because she's also the most scientific person on the show, they can't talk about it.
Yeah.
So they like every time religion comes up, Sam is like talked to, but never says anything conclusive. It's
Yep.
like they dance around it a lot. Um, she's like not relevant, and he's like, "Well, you can understand like if you have faith in your God, why is it wrong that I have faith in my God?" And she's like, "Totally not the same thing."
Not at all. No.
Just so we're very clear. And he was like, "Why not?" And she's like, "I don't, I don't know that you have the capacity for me to explain this to you in this moment. Just
Yeah.
sorry." Um, and then we go back to a memory, and Valar has come back from the battlefield early, and he wasn't supposed to, and he's like talking about it to Teal'c, and he's like, "Please, like tell Apophis that I'm not a coward. Like tell him that I really just want to go back with more people and like take out Ra's army, and like I wasn't trying to save myself. I was just trying to save the rest of my men so that like we could actually do this correctly." And so Teal'c and Braytek are in front of Apophis, and Apophis is like, "What do you know about this?" And Teal'c like tries to stand up for Valor, and Apophis is like, "Yeah, would you have done the same thing?" He's like, "Well, no." And he's like, "Great. And I know that you're a good person. Go kill him."
Yep. No cares. No cares in the world.
So he takes Valor back to the planet where the battlefield was, and Valor is like, "You're right. I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have retreated. I am a coward. I'm a failure to my God. Like, go ahead and kill me." And Teal'c's like, "No, like, go run away, live in this village. It's okay. Like, um, I'm not gonna kill you." And Teal'c is like kind of like testing Apophis in this moment. So he lets Valor go, and then he brings the symbiote from one of the dead Jaffa from the battlefield back with him, and like goes back to Apophis, and Apophis doesn't know the difference of like what Goa'uld he killed, and that is kind of like the nail in the coffin for Teal'c.
Yeah.
Um,
Obviously, he doesn't know
yeah,
everything. He doesn't know anything.
correct. Back in the real world, Jack is up in the observation room with Hammond because obviously, even though they're supposed to be taking a break, they like couldn't. And Hammond says that currently, like the technical military plan is that if this does not work, they're going to put the symbiote back in Teal'c and take him to a high security prison and leave him like in solitary until the Goa'uld symbiote matures, and then they can like remove it for study and let Teal'c die then. And Hammond's like, "That's the plan. I can't let that happen. So this has to work." Um, and then we have another memory, and this time Teal'c is telling Draok, like he wakes up in the middle of the night violently, and he's telling Draok that like he feels shame because he killed like a whole village of women and children. And um, she's like, "It's okay. You did it for Apophis, so that makes it okay. Like it's fine." And he's like, "It's not fine. Like there were innocent women and children in that village." And she's like, "Yes, but we're gonna have a baby, and Apophis bought us this house." And
uh,
um and he's like, "Yeah, but I killed a Jaffa named Valar in the village." And she's like, "No." And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, before when it happened, I let him go, and now I burned down a whole village full of innocent children to hide the fact that I kept Valor alive in case Apophis found out, and I am ashamed. Like I am a horrible person." And she's like, "You have to get over it because my baby needs a dad." Like
she is just
the
brainwashed to do
worst.
all this.
She's the worst. At this point, I looked at Dan and I just go, "I promise that no matter how poor we are, and no matter how bad things are, and no matter how stressful our jobs are, I will never encourage you to murder people for a mob boss just because they bought me a house."
Great. That is a Good standard to have.
He was like, thank you. Um, so, and we're still in Memoryland. Teal'c has officially become the first Prime of Apophis now, and he runs to tell Braytak, and Braytak is like pissed. And Teal'c's like, this is literally what you've been training me for my whole life. Like, I don't understand. And he's like, yeah, but I was training you for it because I thought you could do it without being excited. Like, I thought you could do it and like do good with it by like protecting as many people as you could in this position because I trusted that you saw the truth. And if you're gonna believe in him, I can't continue to like work with you.
Yeah.
And then still all in Memoryland, we catch up to the events of the first season in the beginning of the show, and Teal'c shows Braytak SG-1 in prison, and it shows how he just like felt strongly immediately upon seeing them that there was something different about them. And Braytak's like, well, nobody's going to be enough to help us, so like just pray that they don't get chosen as hosts because that's the best you could ever do for them. Um, and Then we go to real life, and Teal'c is like super not going to make it. Like he's very much at the end.
Yeah.
And Braytak is like, do not put the symbiote back in him. And they like at this point we is the first really like quick like two scenes happening at once thing. And we
This is
have
also the moment where I was like, is he gonna die? Like, I know he's not gonna die, but is he gonna die? Like,
I was
what's happening?
as I was watching this episode, I was like, I don't know. I wonder how nervous Courtney is going to be. Like that this is
I was pretty nervous.
actual.
I was pretty nervous, even though, like, logically, I know it's not true. It's not happening. It's like I still question it.
Yeah. So they're like shouting at him that he has to like choose, and it's flashing back and forth to like Braytak attack like screaming at Teal'c, and Teal'c remembering the scene from the first episode where he joins SG-1. And then they finally like Braytek like yells, and they finally return the symbiote and defib, and they're like trying to get him to like come back to life because he like completely dies. Um, and Then we have just like a flash of basically like a picture of Teal'c in every single episode of the first 88 episodes of the show or 89 episodes of the show or whatever. And then he like wakes up and is like, I choose freedom. And it's beautiful.
Yay!
And everybody cries. And he apologizes to everyone and asks to come back on the team. And we get a nice little happy moment there.
I wasn't sure if it was gonna happen this episode or if they were gonna like wait it out a bit, you
Yeah.
know? But like also if
I
they were gonna do it this way, like they couldn't wait it out a bit. It would have been that he would have been locked up while
yeah.
they figure
I
stuff out.
It makes sense the way they did it. I think it would have been interesting to have him like take a little bit and become more of like an anti-villain for a
Mhm.
hot second there. Well, no, it would have been just a villain, not an anti-villain really, but like um it would have been interesting to have him become the bad guy for like a little bit, but no, I think that they had to do it this way. Um because they couldn't have this last rites thing happen for more than an episode. Like it
Exactly.
wouldn't.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so they could have always had like some in between where he was a bad guy, but not really, because then he would have had to have been free of SG, and that
Right. I
wouldn't
mean, I
have.
feel like the only thing they could have done was like they would have had to have had him like locked up at SGC and like
Yeah,
while they were like researching ways to like unbrainwash him, they were doing other stuff. Like that's
yeah,
the only thing that I thought could have worked. But this way we get to it back. So
yeah. I do only have one piece of trivia. Well, no, I have two pieces of trivia, but one I thought was dumb, so I guess I could share it, but I don't love it.
okay.
In the scene where Hammond and Jack are looking into the room, and you can see
Mhm.
the reflection of all the candles that are around Teal'c. There are two candles that are very, very obviously in the shape of letters. Usually, I know those things, so I only notice them because I know them. But this one was so fucking obvious. I don't know how you didn't see it, except for that I know that your brain is not functioning at full capacity. Um, because the candles were shaped like the letters PD for Peter DeLuise.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
it.
I don't. Only because it was
Oh,
too obvious. Like I like when they do touches like this, but this one was like chunky and
it was
stupid,
too
and
much.
none of the other candles were in any kind of pattern, so it looked weird.
Yeah, that made sense.
Um, the other trivia I have is that Tony Amendola, who plays Braytac, has said that this is his favorite episode of Stargate of all time.
Oh, I love it. Because he
Yes.
was the hero.
Yeah. So that is my trivia that Braytac loves this episode. But I also think, and not just that Braytac's the hero, but you really truly understand Braytac and Teal'c so much more after this episode,
Yeah,
and why they did what they did and how they did what they did and why they were never they were it wasn't like SG-1 made them good guys. They were always those people
already.
without an outlet.
Yeah.
And so I really, really like that. Um, but and things we don't like. Who do you want to punch?
Apophis for brainwashing Tilk.
That's fair. That's fair. Um, I know it's not entirely his fault because he was brainwashed, but I do want to punch Teal'c because he was kind of rude.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And he called Daniel a woman and talked about fabric. Um, who is your MVP?
Great talk.
Now, I knew you would pick Braytac. That is really the best answer. But because I knew you were going to pick Braytac, I'm going to go with Sam. Because while I think Jack is like more willing to do whatever it takes to get Teal'c back, and like he is more emotionally supportive in this episode, I think Sam is the only one who fully comes to terms with the why they have to do it
Yeah.
this way. And that makes the way she talks to him very different. And I appreciate that. So,
I was very nervous for a minute when she was talking to him because, like, I was like, I know that sometimes she gets a little bit too emotional in these things. I don't want her to, like, release him or, like, loosen him up or anything. And, like, I
yeah.
knew that she knew better and she wasn't going to do it. But, there
Yeah.
were, like, little moments throughout this episode that I was like, is that going to happen? It shouldn't happen. It never would happen. But is it gonna happen? Like, so many times I feel like.
Yeah.
And none of them did. None of the things
No,
happened.
no, they did not.
But
Um,
yeah, Sam's a good choice. Sam's a good choice.
yeah. Um, this, I realized that last week I didn't do like a teaser about what was going to happen this week, but it was kind of obvious that what was going to happen this week because we
Right.
had to deal with
Made a deal with Tilk.
Teal'c. But now that we have solved the Teal'c problem, I guess I can give you a quick little teaser for next week. Of course, for
Yes.
you guys, it'll be a week from now. For Courtney and I, it'll be like 3.
7 years.
So in the next episode, we have another unnecessary romance plot, but I'm not going to tell you with who.
Bet it's Daniel.
Listen, I think I think all 4 of them have at this point had unnecessary romance plots.
I mean, they have.
Daniel, it does happen to more often. I will give you that. It happens to Daniel more often.
It's a new
But like,
season. We need a new Daniel romance for no
but like
reason.
we had for Sam, we had Martouf and that one guy from the
Yeah, that
Tolan.
one.
Um, Daniel's had everyone. Teal'c had Shawnok, and then Jack had a lot in the first season too. Like every
He
girl
did.
in the first season was either in love with Jack or with Daniel. It was very odd.
Yeah, well, he
Um,
had his real one with that like 100 Days lady.
yeah, and then there was the whole Anise Freya thing where one of them wanted to
Oh
bang
yeah.
Jack, but the
The
symbiote
other was
wanted to
in.
bang Daniel, but the girl wanted to bang Jack.
Yeah. You still won't
Um,
convince me it's not Daniel until I watch it. I will not be
that's
convinced.
fair. That's fair. I'm not gonna say any more than that. Um,
Unless it's
just that.
Hammond.
Just, wouldn't that
Ooh.
be? Hammond is a happily married man.
I know. I know.
But then
But
again,
could you
I thought
imagine?
Teal'c was a happily married man, and then Shauna came on the show.
Okay, but then we met Dreyok too. Like
That's true.
she's
We did meet his wife, and she sucks. And also
and
she
she also was with another man.
she
Like,
married someone else. So
right.
like,
Like, yeah, no. And he actually did kind of hold out for her. And she was like totally married to someone else while he was
yeah,
like
right,
hiding. So no, that's fine. Shaunnak's fine.
yeah. And
Uh,
he didn't marry Shauna because she became a high priestess of the temple. So like, it wasn't that he didn't love her first.
yeah,
So
exactly.
it's fair. But yes, so everyone has weird. What if it's Janet?
Oh, that'd be so nice.
It
She's too
would
busy.
be. She's too busy not saving
She
Teal.
she does not care,
No.
man. She is like, I don't think you understand that I have to make sure SGC stays alive.
She has to keep everyone
And I'm
alive and raise a daughter. She's the only one raising
oh
a child right
yeah.
now.
Forgot about that. Yeah, she's busy. She does not have time for a relationship right now. She would kill anyone. I would kill anyone if I was her. Um, Speaking of death, I do have a fear that Braytag may die this season.
It's a valid fear.
I don't
He
know if
did
it's
say he only has like 2 years left to live, so.
yeah. And it's just and this was
But
like a
also,
really high point for him this
but
episode.
also, it was, which is a good way to like
Yeah.
send somebody out. Also, remember, they said that Teal'c's symbiote only has 4 to 5 years left too, and we have another 5 to 6 years of the show.
I'll find a new one. Junior
So,
Square.
so just keep that little piece of information
Yeah.
in the back of
He'll
your
be
head
fine.
there.
He'll be
Okay.
fine. But
Okay.
Braytag I'm concerned about. So
These are all valid thoughts and theories. If you have any thoughts, theories, fears, please email us at deathandaliens@gmail.com, or you can follow us on all the social media at Death and Aliens. To that one person who really angrily commented on one of our YouTube videos that YouTube just recommended this video for them and that they never really understood why it was on their recommended feed. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to complain about that because it also gave us traction on the video and I hope you enjoyed it. Um,
I did not see that. I am so disconnected from YouTube.
No, I went to like look at something and there was a comment on one of the videos and I like clicked on it and it was like, did anyone else's YouTube like just tell them that they might be interested in this video? And I was like, I commented back and I was like, well, were you? Like, did you like it? They
What'd they
didn't
say?
respond. They didn't
Oh,
respond to that.
rude.
Right. But so if you have found us via a weird, unnecessary YouTube algorithm, welcome. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed
Welcome.
it. This was not our finest moment, but I promise it's not always this hectic. Except for that it is, let's be
It is, but
honest.
in the best way.
Right.
This is
Um,
a bad way.
yeah, this is a month of illness just
We
catching
are
up to
a
us.
week away from Christmas today, and Mary
Yeah.
had bronchitis for like 7 years, and I've now had it for a week and like for like 8 days straight. And
So
so we're just trying our
we're
best.
just we're just trying to survive. Um, so you can, like I said, follow us on all the social media. You can follow me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And you can find me at CE Cloud 13.
And with that, we will see you on Thursday for our American Horror Story Asylum podcast. Woo! All right. Bye.